my little Luxes. Welcome to another Charsie Chats, and I am your host, cosplayer Charsie Lux. And if you can't tell by my guest standing right next to me...
I'm not really a guest, but I guess I'm a
No, I was literally going to make that joke where it's like, he's not really a guest, but...
Guest would be with the cat if she shows up yowling, which I'm already hearing.
She pops in more than you do, so I don't know. She's an honorary guest star on my channel for Miss Callie. But we have Archanon in the house today.
Hello.
Although you usually can probably hear him in the background of most of my videos anyways, because he'll be sitting there yelling at a video game, usually League of Legends.
Usually. Myself, or the cat, something, I don't know.
But I should make the joke that I kidnapped him today to have him be a part of my video.
Quite literally kidnapped me.
Last minute, I'm like, hey, I want to do a recording.
I
want you to join me.
Unshaved, in my pajamas, relaxing.
No, to be fair.
Remember the...
No. You were taking it way too far for a step. You came in the house and I said, I want to record with you. You were still in work clothes when I asked you.
I just didn't know the timing. I guess that's the better part.
Well, I mean, we could wait till midnight and do a midnight recording. Surprisingly, there is still a little bit of sunlight outside.
For now.
Because we're getting over that hump, that hill, whatever
we
call it, after the winter solstice and the longest night.
I think in the month of January we're gaining almost 50 minutes of daylight, just in the month of January alone.
Oh my gosh.
I saw a thing on that. Like the northern part, just about us and north is 50 minutes, then it's like 40, 30, 20 down by the Florida areas. But yeah, I saw that yesterday, I think, I don't know, sometime staring at my phone.
I mean, it's giving me good news.
Yeah, so...
I mean, it makes sense, because at the end of last January, when we were doing hikes, we still had time where you'd get off of work around like 4 o'clock, and we could go out and go hiking.
No, that's at the end of January.
Whereas right now, it's like,
20-something degrees outside.
You got off early today.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it doesn't help with the cold.
Yeah.
It wasn't that wonderful warm weather we had during Christmas of the 40s and 50s.
And rain.
I mean, I'll take rain over snow and ice any day.
I like snow. Ice, no.
I like snow when it's melting.
Yeah, I know you do.
But I wanted... Oh, there's the honorary guest, Callie. She has showed up.
Yeah, she's hiding.
She's sitting on the workout bench right now. If any of you don't know that my studio computer space is also the...
gaming.
Yeah, our workout gym. And, there, she's just... Well, she's actually trying to stare out the window, but that window stares out to nothing, so she's looking at a wall right now. That is our special Callie.
Orange cat brain cells.
What is that, one brain cell?
One brain cell.
Hi, do you want to come join? Might as well kidnap her, too.
Cat.
So, this is Calcifer,
as you all probably know.
Callie Ann, as most of you would know her, but
she's actually being good.
She's usually pretty good. She's our baby. She's been growing, having a huge growth spurt this year, where she's been way more docile.
Hey.
Also, kind of blame our old roommate that he kind of made her an aggressive cat because he used to
aggressive play.
Yeah, very
That's
aggressive
really
play with hands and.
She also had no siblings, so she had nothing to take it out on, and the other cat absolutely hates her, so that doesn't help. A lot of anxiety early on. Huh.
So she's doing so much better. She's
She's
literally our Pomeranian cat, as we like to call her, because our neighbor had accidentally thought she was a dog at first, and it's like, no, she's a cat, even though she acts like a dog. But anyway, so for this Charsie Chats, I figured for the first video of 2024, which was kind of the strong reason why I wanted you to join me here, because
fine. I'm here.
This year is about good things, going forward with positivity and everything. So for my first theme, I want for the month of January to be... Yeah, she might went down. Or she wants on your shoulders.
That's fine.
That could be fun. She can be a parrot. As she shedded on.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a thing.
Hey, kitty butt! Look at your kitty butt! Oh.
Yep.
You're not meant to see anything. Distractions! We love distractions. Where was I? Oh, so for January's theme, I am doing the theme of The Stir Below. So I'm gonna have a couple of different movie reviews in that. I mean, I could force you to watch those movies with me. I mean, Callie already watches them with me.
Yeah, she's more versed in the movies than I am at this point.
Hey, Callie, your head's gone. Hi! How you doing? Do you want down?
I'll get her. She'll go over here.
But there were several different ones that I would like to cover, but it just kind of goes in the mindset and the mood set of what...
From Below.
Yeah. So the one was The Devil Below, which is actually a pretty recent one, and I just watched that for the first time. I think you'd get a kick out of that one.
I don't think I remember watching that one.
No. I think I watched that one when you...
Probably on a route. Or gone.
You were gone. I don't remember. It was sometime this week, though, that I watched it. And then I also have It Comes From Below. That's another one I haven't watched that one yet, though. So that one will be another first-time watch. There was another one that was called Something Beneath. And that's kind of a semi-older one. That one might seem familiar to you, but it stars Kevin Sorbo. So...
Okay.
I get a kick out of Kevin Sorbo's like B-rated horror movies that he was a part of and everything like that. So he also had those really, really weird like Christmas Lifetime films and all that.
Yeah.
And it was around the same time frame. So it's like 1 minute you'd see like this lovey-dovey Lifetime video with Kevin Sorbo, and then the next you'd see him in a horror film. So the best generation.
Yeah, you know, when you just kind of do what you want because you're Kevin Sorbo.
And our generation would know that he is Hercules, and he will always be stuck being Hercules. But, so obviously I would like to create a ghost story that will go in line with that, so that will also be on my other channel for scary stories my father told me. But today, I was going to talk about... Well, I have this really... Well, it's not a bad habit for me, but I have this habit that when I watch a horror movie, and it's one of those where it's intriguing, but I want to talk to somebody about it, that it's like I'll end up telling Archanon about it.
She'll talk to me even if I was sleeping during it, or I had no clue.
No, while you're sleeping...
Whatever, she's watching show.
Oh, well, I'm not talking to you while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm watching it while you're sleeping.
Yeah, you're watching the movie while I'm sleeping or gone or whatever else, and then she comes to me and just starts puking out information about a movie that I'm sitting there going, that's nice, honey. But it's sometimes she'll tell me stuff that's very interesting about the movie. She immediately deep dives and figuring out who's in it. Where have they been? Where have I seen this from? Who have I seen this person from? Who directed it? Who shot it? Who whatever else? And she'll go down the list and she regurgitates it all on me. And then I usually forget within a half hour. But
I mean, your short-term memory is pretty junk right now anyway. I blame COVID.
I'm certain I have some sort of dementia, but that's a whole other story.
Let's hope it's not that. You're too young for that.
I'm not young.
I mean, you're only turning 40 this year. That's young. In society's terms, 40 is young.
I mean, by the time I'm 70, maybe my head will be in a jar, so it'll work out.
Be in Futurama style. And
that'd be fun.
I'll be heads
I'll just sit on a shelf and eat fish food.
Nom, 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 nom. But the one that I was going to talk about, and the biggest thing is that I've noticed is that generally, especially if I'm watching films that are technically really bad films and I think that they're terrible, I'll explain it in a way that half the time Archanon will look at me and be like, well, that sounds like a good movie.
Or I'll say, I'd probably watch it because it's dumb enough that I'm going to watch it. But it's also more funny because she's like, I just wasted an hour and a half of my life. Why didn't I stop this? Like, and I'm like, well, you watched The Room, so...
I also watched Open House, and that, to this day, is still my #1 hated horror film of all time. Do not waste your time on it. Like, it's the one movie I will say, most movies, like, I'll say, give it one watch. Give it at least one. This one, no. Do not waste your time. Do not do it. No.
Well, I mean, some people are sadists. You do know that, right?
I mean, if you're a sadist and want to hate yourself...
Masochist, I don't know what... No, masochist. Masochist, not sadist.
Sadist is the one that causes...
Yeah, causes
to
the problem. Yeah, okay, there we go. I'm backwards.
Well, it's not a problem to masochists.
Yeah, masochists are like
it. Oh, they just happen to dress like a dominatrix today. So, the problem is that the camera is low enough. You can't see my cool corset thingy. I love this thing. Anyway.
Keep doing that.
La.
For the views.
Well, whatever. So the first one I'm going to talk about is called Spike.
Okay. Does it have Mathers? No.
I know you're trying to think of Spike from Buffy.
Spike, yeah. Why you can't think of his freaking name?
James Marsters.
Marsters, that's it. Yeah. Just Matherson? No, that ain't right.
But it would be fantastic if it was. Very tiny cast. Created in 2008. And while watching it, mind you, it's labeled as a dramatic horror romance.
So a better version of Twilight?
Well, I would give it a better version than Twilight, okay. But anything is better than Twilight, so we're not Twilight fans here.
So sparkly. Oh, look at the sparkles.
I tried for...
We
tried and... no.
No bueno.
Nope, I can't do it.
Even the main actors, Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart, do not talk about that film. I mean, those made their career. Yeah. I mean, let's face it, and they don't even like it, so... I'm gonna get some of my deliciousness. You would think it's alcohol, but it's not. It's energy drink with juice, so all the sugar in the world and no sugar in the world.
Yeah.
This is natural sugar.
Natural sugars.
But anyway, so think if Shakespeare decided to make a horror film. And that kind of perfectly describes Spike. But I went into this film not expecting what ended up happening. And what was weird was when I first was watching it, it kind of was very similar to the one horror movie that I really love that's underrated, Splinter.
Okay.
About the parasites that get that fungus that's very spiny and that. So you open up with the film where it's a group of friends. And you have the two girlfriends.
It's never just one person.
No, it's never just one. I mean, that'd be boring. You have the two girlfriends that are sitting up front, and the ones that's the driver, and then you have the other girl and the boyfriend in the back, and they're both asleep because it's late at night, they're on the highway. And what's interesting is that none of these characters actually have names, except for the one main character. But otherwise they are called the girl, then they're called... the other girl. No, it's the girl, the brother, the sister, and the sister's girlfriend. That's literally how they're even labeled on, like, IMDb.
I wonder who survives. I bet it's not them.
I mean, you're kind of on the money with that. Spoilers!
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers. I mean, when I say think of Shakespeare if you did a horror, and I mean Shakespeare
named his characters.
I mean, he took that time. So what it turns into is that there is a car accident because the one girl who is driving runs over something, she goes into the ditch. Well, the boyfriend, or the brother, however you want to put it, finds that there's this weird spike thing that had punctured the tires, so they had two flats, which is why they lost control of the car. Now, instead of telling everyone, like, showing them the spikes that had flattened the car, which
that would make sense.
I mean, most normal people would be like, ooh, what is with this thing? He decides to put it in his pocket. Yeah. I'm not gonna tell anyone that I just... Oh,
hey, Ron!
Hey, look at this interesting thing. So it starts kind of feeling like Splinter as well, because the same thing happens there, where a weird spiny thing punctures the tires and they go off the road. Very similar. So my brain's thinking in those terms. Well, then everything starts happening like really quickly, because as soon as they're out of the car, they're investigating
it's not like you can have dialogue with boy, girl, girlfriend. There shouldn't be much dialogue.
Lots of dialogue, though. So the boyfriend, the brother, he gets immediately attacked, he gets taken away. Well, the one that is the brother's girlfriend is the one that decides she's going to go after her boyfriend, like, immediately. Well, we're very quickly introduced to the final character, and the only one that has a name, and they call him Spike. And he's this monstrous creature that is like a porcupine man. So then you come in for the whole romantic side of it, was that this girl...
Zip on that one! This will be PG now.
I mean, the movie's rated R, and they do actually have nudity in it, which, I mean, by 2008, that's when they kind of stopped doing nudity for horror, because, you know, nudity is so bad, but since we're so stuck in a Puritan United States...
you said some person with spines, and that's the romantic interest. I'm like, what is this?
Well, you should know where it's going. Well, not and he can't touch anyone. Like, literally, his entire body is deadly spines. But that's where we're getting to it. So I'm going to do full spoilers because I won't give away an ending. Now you're just going to watch my
face at this point, because I'm...
So...
This is what she watches.
I happened upon it. This is one of those, yes, give it at least one watch, but you'll probably give it a mediocre rating, kind of like what I did.
Okay, first and foremost, if you're going to give it one watch, pause this and go watch it before the spoilers happen, then come back and finish the video and have
or listen to it and then go watch it and make fun of it. Anyway, so she goes off to get her boyfriend, and she gets bitten by a rattlesnake. Well, this spiked man, whatever his spines are, is an antidote for this rattlesnake bite that she has. Come to find out, these two knew each other, and that her father had found this weird, monstrous child and decided to raise him, well, because her and this boy were raised together as if they were siblings. He fell in love with this girl. So, but her, knowing that...
Please tell me this is made in Alabama.
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, they're not blood related in any way or form.
Fair.
He found this creature in the woods, blah, 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 and decided
Fair.
to raise
I can't
it.
make the jokes.
Step siblings, I guess. Adopted sibling. But, so, then you start moving into the whole fact that the sister to the guy, the only guy that's a part of the group besides Spike anyway, that the sister just wants to leave. Doesn't want to help anyone, but it's the sister's girlfriend, where she was my favorite character of the whole entire thing.
Is this girl 1, 2, girlfriend?
This would be girlfriend to sister.
Okay.
I don't know how else to label it except girlfriend to sister. And she wants to go and help everybody, and she's all gung-ho, she's a badass. Well, the freaking sister, who's her girlfriend, decided that she was going to knock her out so that she could just basically shove her in the car and leave. Well, and I mean, mind you, this was her brother that was taken, and she just wants to just leave. And it's like, you know, I might not get along with my brother 100%, but you better believe my ass is gonna go into those woods and go and rescue my brother. So, so right away I'm like, well, I know the character I don't care about. So you go into, finally the girlfriend wakes up, she wants to go and help them, so they go into the woods. Well, they happen upon Spike's lair, and it is full of like the old romantic books, like Greek parody of Persephone and or however you say her name, and the Romeo and Juliet, and it's all
the one with the O, right? The one with the O?
The one with the O?
Which one are you talking about?
It's the Greek fable where the woman that was kidnapped by Hades, and that every so often it was like Persephone,
I can't remember that. Yeah.
It starts with a P, but. So you're obviously given these deep clues that this is supposed to be a romantic tragedy. So, I mean, you should be able to tell exactly how this whole thing's gonna go.
Well, I mean, he fell in love with a spiky person. Or the spiky person fell in love with the non-spiky person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where she does love him and adore him, but she knows she can never be with him. And he wants to stay hidden in the woods, where she wants to live in the real world with real people. This Spike guy is trying to talk the girl, because she's labeled in IMDb as the girl. She's supposed to be the main character,
Fair.
along with Spike. He's trying to talk her into staying in his world with him. So then that kind of goes into the whole fable where she's just trying to rescue her boyfriend and leave, so she just keeps, like, telling him what he wants to hear.
Oh, okay.
And he's feeding her food and all kinds of stuff. But then she finds out that the food he was feeding her was insects and that kind of stuff. And of course,
It's got protein.
yeah.
Fine.
And of course, she's like, this isn't my world. This isn't where I want to be. So she ends up coming up with this whole thing with him and saying, if you help me and my friends and my boyfriend to leave, she's like, I'll do the deal, like, with Hades. And I want to say it was Persephone.
I don't
Yeah.
remember. I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
I cannot remember.
And that the
been a
deal
minute.
with Hades was that every so often during that year, she had to be in hell with Hades in order to save her family and everything. So she kind of made the same deal with this Spike guy. Well, she goes down the road where she decides she's just gonna kill this guy, so then you go through that whole scenario until you get too close to the ending. The sister and her girlfriend are still trying to find everybody, and the girlfriend the sister who had to knock her girlfriend in the head ended up actually causing a brain aneurysm.
Fair.
So she
Contusion, yeah.
Yeah, she ended up bleeding to death internally. So it's like, oh, so this terrible person where she had to do that, and it's like, she's like, I didn't even hit you that hard. It's like, it only takes a pound of pressure to injure a human being. So
Well, I mean, all of football.
yeah, we've seen all those injuries and
Yeah,
everything
so-
happen. The boyfriend ends up getting killed and everything
Right.
from the whole, because I mean, it's
Romantic
a romantic tragedy.
That sounds about like everybody about to die.
So Spike, thinking that he's going to finally talk the woman of his dreams into living and staying with him, she's trying to run away from him, and she ends up falling off a cliff. Well, while she's hanging on for dear life, he shows up and he wants to help her. Well, she keeps slipping. His hands are the only thing that on the palms of his hands have no spikes. So he's trying to hang on to her, he's trying to help her.
Okay.
Well, in the process of trying to help pull her up, he ends up impaling her with the spikes on his body. Thus, the romantic tragedy.
Creating set for Spike 2. I'm going to kill everybody now.
So, thus ends the romantic tragedy of Spike. So, I'm just kind of sitting there like, I don't know how I feel about this film, and like reading the reviews and that, where it literally was one end of the spectrum or the other.
Yeah.
People either loved it or hated it. So the
Makes
reviews,
sense.
yeah,
It doesn't have I don't want to say it doesn't have original situation, but if you kind of like those stories, then you're going to love it.
Yeah.
Because it's at what you look for. That makes sense. That's one way or the other.
Yeah, it was one of those scenarios where it makes me think of when you first watched Saw. And you were expecting like an atypical slasher horror film, and when you first watched it,
I
you hated it.
No interest right away, because at the time, back in the day, I really didn't care for horror movies, and I just went because I was with my girlfriend at the time, and I had no interest in it. But by the time I ended, I was like, well, this was way better written and not just a gore flick. Oh, then over time, I'm like, you know what, that was really a good movie. Okay, well, that was good. And
Well, and then after that, we started watching the sequels. That kind of became our thing, because
Yep.
they used to come out on Halloween,
Yep.
so that was a big thing. We would go to the theaters.
We'll see them. I think we went through
I
3,
think we went up to 4.
4.
We gave it
Yeah.
up till 4, and then we lost interest in it because they went for the gore porn. It
Yeah.
lost the actual appeal of it actually being,
Being
a
a mind
psychological.
game. There's
yeah.
still mind game to it. I am not downing the people who love Saw and the whole series. It's just, to me and Charsie, we just kind of went, gore porn?
Yeah, it should be about the story, not about the gore porn. And there's only certain aspects that should be pushed a certain way. But, so this one kind of landed in the same one for me, where it's like, I first was going into it expecting one thing, and then what it turned into. So it's like, at first I'm like, oh, I don't really like this film, I didn't care for it. And then I'm reading the reviews, because it sat with me. If a film sits with me, and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, this has got to be a better film than I think. And it's like, it literally spells out exactly what it is. And if you go into it knowing it's a romantic tragedy, horror.
Well, at the end of the day, it's also the simple fact of, if you still think about something, and it doesn't matter, film, movie, show, whatever you're watching, this for anybody, you know, you sit down afterwards, and if you even bring it back to your head and you're thinking about it and you don't go, God, why did I waste my time on this? You start liking it more and appreciating it more. So,
and I think that's where it went with me.
Yeah.
Well, then the funny part was, since I was watching this on Tubi, the fun part about Tubi is that it will just automatically start playing another film that could be similar to the other one. And this one was called Black Hollow Cube. No, Black Hollow... Oh, I gotta remember it. Black Hollow Cage.
Okay.
But I'm thinking cube because there is a black cube that is involved in this film. So, Black Hollow Cage. There we go. So, another very tiny cast in it. This one would be one of those where it's like, I could see you getting into it, especially being prepared for it, because it's... Excuse you.
Sorry, stomach's a little...
It's one of those mind games, psychological thriller, and this one was a mindfuck.
Okay.
And trying to keep up with it. So,
okay, one of those.
You are introduced to a father and his daughter live out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by beautiful forests and everything. And this really elaborate, expensive house. But this dad's an inventor, he's a scientist. You come to learn that there was a terrible accident, and that the girl had lost her arm, and that the father had an associate there, that she was getting a prosthetic hand, and that she was supposed to be trained in how to use this prosthetic hand.
Okay.
But this poor girl, she gives up, like, easily. Like, as soon as, like, because the guy's telling her, he's like, you're not going to get it right away, and they do the cylinder test, and he's like, you got to work at it. And, like, immediately, like, as soon as she fails the first time, she's done. I want nothing to do with it. I'm going to walk away. So you're getting her personality right away. Okay. Well, then you have the father. And the only other character that lives in the house with him is who the little girl calls Mom. So you start finding out that there was a terrible car accident and that it was the father's unfortunate fault. They don't really go into detail why it was the father's fault.
But it's just kind of knowledge.
It's just knowledgeable that it was the father's fault and that he caused the accident. And that the mother passed away, his little girl lost her arm because of the accident. So in order to...
PTSD for the daughter, so she has I'm not really going to keep trying on this. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And the father wants to be there for his daughter, but she fully 100% blames him. And so to make her happy and appease the situation, he got her a dog, and since he's a scientist, was able to take the mind of the mother and ingrain it into this dog. So, and the dog literally could talk and everything, had the mother's voice, had her personality. Please tell me his name's Edward. No, it was a female dog.
I tried.
She called the dog Mom.
No, the father's name. Somebody in there.
Oh, I got it now. For
the father, I can't remember the
Edward.
Insert meme here.
Edward wasn't the dad, though.
I know. I can't remember the dad's name. Dad of the year, I guess. I don't know.
But anyway, I'll just put up a picture and you can figure it out on your own. About
just Google search the picture, just screenshot it, and you'll find out real quick.
Really terrible father. Anyway, so the little girl will take her dog and go for runs, go for hikes into these woods because she likes getting away. And it's literally just her and her dad that are out in the middle of nowhere. And that they've been trying to recover since its accident. Well, the little girl discovers this giant black cube in the middle of the woods, and when she goes and interacts with it, it gives her messages. And the first time it gives her a note and it says, "They are not to be trusted." And the little girl automatically is weirded out. Well, she goes home. Well, what she was weirded out about, on top of the fact that, a random box is just giving her
normal.
a handwritten note, it's her handwriting. So it was like she was giving herself a message, but she had no idea what this was. And it's saying, "They are not to be trusted."
Got it. Okay.
So it goes down the scenario. The next scene, the father's out in the woods. Well, the father happens to find a beaten up woman, like brutally beaten up, and her little brother. So he brings this woman and boy into the house, and like immediately my brain is like, well, if they are not to be trusted, I'm like, obviously these two that this father just brought into the house obviously should not be trusted. Now, I'm understanding that this little girl is only like maybe 12 years old, so
She would be the same way.
her sense isn't just to be like, oh, these are the bad people, that her mind's not thinking evil people, because the boy's her age, and so, I mean, once again, spoilers.
Yep.
So, this is one of those, it should be given a chance to watch.
Okay.
This one should definitely be given a chance. So, you go down the scenario where they find out that this woman was beaten up by her boyfriend, so the father gets this, basically, this idea that he's saving them, protecting them, so they're going to keep them there for the night and then take them home or into town to the police later on. And scenarios keep happening to where this sister and her little brother just stay in the house, because then the little boy is able to talk them into, well, the little boy's mute, I should say. That it's because of the little boy that the dad keeps making these decisions, because he wants to protect this boy that's the same age as his little girl.
Makes sense.
Where he's like, if I keep them in the house, they'll be safe. Well, so it keeps going, and then, so the little girl and her father keep getting into fights in that, because the father keeps trying to reiterate to her that the dog's not her mom. But she has engraved and made it to where the dog is her mom, and that her mom's not dead because her mom's the dog. So, yeah, which, I mean, it's the father's fault. He did this, that he made a Band-Aid. He just stuck a Band-Aid. And, well, it was her PTSD, there's a technical term for it, that it was her kind of like scapegoat. She was in denial. She knows the truth. She knows her mom is dead, but she was in denial, and she made the dog actually the mom, even though she knows that it's not her real mom, but her brain made it to where this is her mom now. And just a way to protect herself.
Okay.
So the girl goes into the woods again after fighting with her dad and happens upon the cube again and gets another message from it. Well, this time it's like a little flash drive, and I want to say this film was made in 2017, so it was like a computer chip or whatever.
Right.
And it had another message in her handwriting saying, you must listen to this at 4 o'clock, be alone, must be wearing headphones. Basically stating nobody else can hear this.
Makes sense.
Well, she starts listening to it, it's her voice. And the little girl's name is Alice, and if I remember correctly, the dad's name's Adam. So Alice starts talking to herself and directing her to do these things where she's like, leave mom in the room, this will be easier without her, do this, make sure nobody knows what you're listening to, make sure they know it's not me. Moves into the scenario where all of a sudden she's telling herself, you must kill the boy and you must kill the woman. And that make sure your dad is out of the house, make sure he doesn't call the police, because this will be easier with nobody around. But you must kill them. And because she starts hinting to herself that this has happened multiple times before, and that every time her father dies. But of course, while she's listening to it, she has no interest in killing these people. So she doesn't. Well then, that very following night is when, because the boy and the woman were always watching them and manipulating things, got the passcode for this house and let this boyfriend in, the one that beat her up, because it was all faked. I mean, he really beat up this woman, though. Yeah. So he's a terrible person that, in order to get access to the house, he beat the shit out of his girlfriend, and then they got the code and let him in, and he came in, and they murdered the dog, so warning there, because most of us hate it when they kill the dogs and the cats in the films, and killed the father. Well, the girl was left alone, and of course, none of it makes sense at this moment, where it's like, they literally just went into this house to kill this man, and then left. Didn't steal anything, so it's like, what was the purpose of going and killing this man? Well, Alice, going out to this box, makes the decision, she gets into it. Well, you go back and you start seeing scenarios where it's like, they'd be peering outside and be like, there's somebody standing out there, and of course they knew that this boyfriend was dangerous and that, so they were thinking that it was him. Well, come to find out it was Alice. So this cube is some kind of a time machine. So Alice was communicating with herself through this thing. Well, because of after her father passing away, she went through the cube into the past. So then you're seeing another scenario where this Alice is going through, and then she decides, okay, well then I'm just going to go and I'm actually going to kill them. And so behind the scenes, she thinks she's doing all this until you get to the point of where she kills the boy, which I think his name is Paul. Okay. So she kills the boy, but the sister, Erica, happens upon it. So then Erica kills this Alice, the original Alice that went through the cube, and then you get the big scene where the father, Adam, happens to come across his dead daughter, and I mean, the acting for this man is just phenomenal. And I mean, it's the whole scenario of where
you've lost everything.
Yeah.
And now you're just gonna, okay.
And he was so numb and that wasn't coherent to anything around him that Alice, the one that was in the back room, comes out. So while he's holding his dead daughter, here's his other daughter, because this is the one from his time period.
Yeah.
And is trying to talk to him. He can't even hear it. And I mean, I understand that scenario.
That would be just mind blank.
Your mind is blank, and then when it finally starts snapping on them, well, they're able to start communicating. So you have the whole scenario where Alice is trying to explain to the dad about this cube and that, and everything going on, has him listen to the voice thing. And he's like, okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to believe you. And he's like, that this isn't something, and he's like, obviously, because there was a dead version of her.
And she's standing there. What else are you going to do?
Where he's like, what do you think it is? She goes, I think it's a time machine. So then you have the father and the daughter both get into this cube and go into the past again. And get to the scenario because they wanted to find out what this whole thing was about, because they wanted this, I think his name was Jason, whoever the boyfriend was, to this Erica and that. They wanted to entrap him and get him in there and get answers. Come to find out, this guy, so the accident that we knew about that the father caused in that, there was another vehicle involved.
I was thinking that earlier. I'm like, okay, I think I know where we're going here.
Yes.
And they're trying to get their daughter back or some shit like that.
Well, this Jason, his parents were in the other vehicle. So his whole world ended when Adam caused this car accident and had killed his parents. So this whole thing was to extract revenge and to kill Adam.
Makes sense. I was thinking that's where we were going with this, but yeah.
Yeah. To where it's like you have this huge tragedy and everything going on, to where you have this, his poor daughter is numb. You can tell she's just a shell of a person at this point, and she ends up killing this guy and has like no remorse or anything.
Yeah, I mean.
To where the father's like, okay, we're gonna go back in time one more time. He's only sending Alice, and he's like, it's probably works just like your prosthetic hand, where it's like, you have to really mentally think about it and you're able to get there. So they're like, okay, this is the specific time frame that you need to get to. And I knew where they were going with it. And that she was supposed to go back in time to the day of the accident, and that she was just going to get rid of the keys so that they would have never been in this vehicle. Because there was something wrong with this vehicle, apparently. Yeah. Either the father was driving drunk or something, or
whatever
there was
it may
something
be,
wong with the vehicle itself.
But just prevent the problem in the first place, and then we just have a life that,
Which I'm thinking in terms of Futurama.
And now I'm sitting there like Paradox. And
the Paradox will end up dead on its own.
Yeah.
Because she technically would be from a future that doesn't exist anymore. And that's why the future Alice ended up dead in the other scenario.
Yeah.
Is that the future one never
survives.
exists. Yeah. So it ends basically with the thought process and the idea. You don't see it, but you know that that's where
I've watched enough
she's
Futurama
going to.
that I understand that's how that works.
Yes.
So paradoxes solve themselves.
And so that one was really, really good. That one sat with me. And I'm like, it has so many low ratings where I'm like, why? Why was it? Because people were going into it
Semi-predictable?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you were going through everything, and I'm like, I think I see where we're going with this, that this is a revenge because you said there was... And it's based off what you were saying, obviously. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so Dad killed another family, and these people are... And somehow, wherever this time machine came from, and maybe that's why people don't like it, is... Why is there a time machine? Where did it come from? Who started it? But the scientist in him maybe was his.
Yeah.
Why didn't he remember it to go back in time to fix the problem initially? There's a lot of broken holes there, but it still seems like a good one-time watch.
Yeah. Where it's one of those where it's like, maybe a little more depth to it, maybe answering a little more things, but it's at the same time, maybe you're not supposed to have those answers. I mean, it's...
He's a scientist who invents things, and there's a random time machine in the woods. I feel like he's the one that did it.
He invented it at some point and didn't realize it.
Just doesn't remember for whatever drunken reason. Hit his
head on the... Could be a strong possibility.
Hit his head on the side of the toilet and forgot. I don't know.
Oh, look at this giant black cube I created in the forest. But yeah, that one was really interesting. But yeah, I had started watching Spike, and then I was going to plan on going to bed, because it was super late at that point. And then this other one just automatically started playing, and I got sucked into it, where I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, which is always kind of the point of a movie, if you ask me, but...
If it can suck you in, I feel like it's a decent film. And... cinematography was really, really gorgeous in it and everything. And like I said, both films had really small casts and everything.
Which is always nice, too. Sometimes that's nice.
I was gonna say, and then you can focus on just a few. Even if it's one where they don't even name the characters, which is really funny. But yes, I wanted to... Well, I was planning on telling him anyways, and then it like hit me.
Now I get to listen to it.
I'm gonna... drag him into the back room with me, and he can listen to the films, and then Callie's asleep on the floor.
She's been there for probably 30 minutes.
Yeah, half of the recording. However long this is.
It's been a while.
I like explaining films. I love films.
Yeah, I do definitely love films, whereas I like my anime and stuff like that. You love your films.
I was going to say, he gets sucked into the anime, and then he sucks me into the anime, and I'm like, I just want to watch an hour and a half film and then be done.
5 hours, bare minimum.
Granted, yes, it's multiple movies, but whatever.
Multiple episodes. But...
Details. But... Yes, so thank you for joining me back here and for recording with me. I appreciate it.
It's not a problem.
But yes, like I said, that for this month, my theme is going to be They Stir Below. Or They Stir From Below. They Stir From
Below, you should probably get it right. I mean, it is your thing, whatever.
It's my thing. This is how my brain works.
I immediately thought of one that I liked that she watched a while back, The Lair.
I think it is The Lair.
The Lair, but there's two layers. There's the popular one, and then there's the, I think, Amazon original one. Mm-hmm. I like the Amazon original one, even though it's just a fun one to me.
where that one is definitely worth a watch.
Yeah,
and
that was fun. I like that one, but
so I could cover that one if you wanted to join me for that.
I have to rewatch it. But yeah,
But that's the whole point,
Yeah.
is rewatching it and talking about it. And instead of this way, you're my beautiful color commentary. Common color?
common color.
You're my color commentary.
Red. Red.
Red. Can't see it. Red. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me in Archanon on another Charsie Chats. And we're going into 2024 with a very positive mindset. Been working away diligently, and
No,
we'll
I've been up for way too long right now. I'm just tired, so don't mind me.
You got up at what, 4 in the morning?
4:15. It's, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock. at this
I was
point.
gonna say, we can look at my other phone.
4:30,
4:37.
12 hours. That's not too bad. Normal day, except now I have more time.
But
It's weekend.
yeah, finally. We love the weekend. We're gonna have a crafty weekend because I've been showing that I've been having fun making candles.
Candles are fun. So we're gonna go hunting for stuff.
Yes, we're gonna go antiquing as well.
Antique?
Antiquing. But thank you so much once again for joining us here. And if you would like to follow us on our other social medias, Archanon has a Twitter. He will be on it every once in a while.
I'm on there. I kind of just lost social media at this point.
Yeah. And you can follow me on my Twitter or Blue Sky for Charsie Lux with 3 X's, or on my Instagram or Threads for Charsie87. And if you would like to help support just a little bit more on this channel, please come join my Patreon. And you can see on the screen a shout out to my other Patreons. And I have a new shout out as well on there too, that I have a brand new Patreon. So thank you so much, and welcome to the Luxy Patreon family. And always remember that I am the afterlife of the party, but I would love for you to come and join us in the afterlife of the party. And always remember to slay, subscribe, like, and always be yourself. And remember to love yourself, because self-love is the best love you can give yourself. See, I said positivity.
Positivity.
And remember to have a Luxy Charms kind of day. Bye!